Hi, I'm Victor Lambs, and you're listening to The Secrets of Stargate, where we talk about hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Victor.
And Jeff Haecker. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Victor.
And today we are discussing the 12th episode of Season 1 of Stargate Atlantis, The Defiant One. In this episode, Major John Shepard, Dr. Rodney McKay, Dr. Brandon Gall, and Dr. Abrams are investigating a distress call from a Lagrangian point satellite in the Atlantean system. They discover a Wraith supply ship on a barren planet, which was shot down by the satellite 10,000 years earlier during the final stages of the Atlantean Wraith War. The team finds the ship devoid of life, but evidence suggests the Wraith crew resorted to cannibalism. Unknown to them, a single Wraith survivor, who had been hibernating for 10,000 years, reawakens and kills Dr. Abrams, also draining the life force from Dr. Gall, who is now only mostly dead.
Not dead yet.
The Wraith escapes and takes control of the team's puddle jumper, forcing Shepard and McKay to split up. Despite Shepard's attempts to reclaim the jumper, the Wraith proves difficult to kill due to his advanced age and regenerative abilities. Meanwhile, McKay stays with the weakened Gall, who convinces McKay to help Shepard by shooting himself. Very persuasive. Shepard eventually distracts the Wraith with a flare and makes a dash for the jumper, but is thwarted by an activated shield. Out of ammunition, Shepard engages the Wraith in a knife fight, stabbing it through its feeding hand. McKay arrives and distracts the Wraith, allowing Shepard to plant an energy bar on it, attracting a swarm of light bugs. A second puddle jumper arrives, piloted by Lieutenant Ford, and on Shepard's order, targets and kills the Wraith with a drone weapon. The end of that Wraith, anyways. What did you think of this episode, Lisa?
You know, it was funny when I was prepping for this, I did not remember this episode. Not at all. So I felt like I was watching it for the first time. Who knows? Maybe I missed it the first time around. I don't know. Part of me was like, and then part of me really liked it. So I liked that they gave McKay really, I felt like McKay really had a lot of character development in this. Like you really saw him grow into the Rodney McKay that we're all going to really enjoy. And not a lot of snark from him, but mostly just really good teammate. I liked it. I liked what they did with the Wraith. I know that sounds weird, but like the whole ship where they're there to resupply, and it just kind of gave it I mean, you knew the guy was probably going to be alive and whatever, but I don't know. I liked the twists of it. Then there was part of me that didn't like certain things, like your two red shirts, who had to, stuff had to happen to them to move on the plot. But and then of course Taylor and Ford. I was like, what was his name? Ford, coming in at the end to help them out, and seeing a lot of Shepard's tenacity as a soldier and the way that he kept going, and it was important to him to make sure he got this guy. So I did like it.
Excellent. What did you think about this episode, Jeff?
Yeah, this one I also really liked. It was it was fun seeing, we get to see the alien planet. We get a kind of a one-on-one Wraith. Like poor Shepard just had a rough go of having to fight these, he had to fight the Janai last week, and now he's having to fight a Wraith, one-on-one in single combat, because he's out of ammo and runs out of ammo and doesn't have any big weapons. He just has his knife, and then seeing I didn't get the actor's name, but who played Dr. Gall, he's the guy from SG-1, that one episode where he's from the planet that believed the Goa'uld created the humans on that planet, and it was like a big deal, and there was the two warring factions. So I was almost wondering, was it the same character? And I kind of wish they had made him the same character, because he kind of vanishes to become just a research assistant on Earth, I guess. And I'm thinking about this as like, oh, that was a missed opportunity. They could have brought him back as, he could have been the historian, or, for the Atlantis expedition. And because he's not the main expert like Daniel, but he's kind of someone you can send. But I know Stargate's known for reusing actors in the same role and not even under any kind of makeup. So, but his ending was sad and unfortunate. But yeah, great action. And in this episode, I know we'll get a character with a sword in a couple seasons, but Shepard just having the knife, I was like, these guys are fighting Wraiths, more often than not. I feel like they need to, and often hand to hand. I feel like they should be carrying, some kind of sword or weapon. No, I guess they'd have to find it or make it or whatever. But yeah, just had that thought of like, a sword would have been helpful here. But yeah, seeing Shepard's, he's trying different tactics with the flare, and then and I forgot the Wraith could. I was thinking that I knew he couldn't fly the jumper, but I forgot they could even activate the technology because he was able to get the shield up to prevent the humans from getting off the world. But yeah, he's kind of a wily old Wraith, and I couldn't remember if this one was captured or just blown up. But we do see him get blown up in the end. So I don't think this one ever got a name, but I know it's paving the way for Todd eventually. So
yeah.
Getting that, a Wraith connection but yeah, this one was fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I really like this one too. I'll go into the reasons why, but just a note on James Lafanzanos, who plays all of the male Wraith basically in season 1, all of the ones with speaking parts, because they had the mold for his face and they just give him different tattoos or slightly different face makeup. And all of them do have names. Although he wasn't given the name on screen, off screen, his name was, I think, Mr. Hooper in this one. So
like from the Sesame Street.
Yeah. I think we ran the store and who died, very famously died and had a very sad death episode. So I think his name was Mr. Hooper in this, but I really like this episode because it's got action. It has some pretty intense drama with Dr. Gall and Rodney. It does have Rodney's character development where he gets to be kind of, vulnerable and, let his guard down a little bit. But also it's incredible amount of world building in this episode because we actually get to explore the Lantean system where, Atlantis is on the planet, but the system's bigger than that. And there are actually these huge defense satellites that the ancients set up 10,000 years ago. I think we actually go into this one or another one just like it at some point. We go to a different planet in the same system, which is 15 hours away. So that's pretty cool. And then we learn that the Wraith have not just hive ships and darts, but these cruisers that can, carry, intense amount, basically people supply ships, and that they can live a very, very long time when they have food. And so there's a lot of really good back and forth where Shepard is trying to convince this Wraith that, oh yeah, I'm from Atlantis and we won the war. You're the last of your kind. And the Wraith is, of course, understandably skeptical and stuff. But there is some really good action. There's some good humor in this. We get to see, Shepard using his wits, because he doesn't have the ordnance and the supplies that he would normally need to take on a Wraith. So I appreciate kind of the cat and mouse game and some of the booby traps that Shepard uses with Wraith weapons. And so I really like this one for all of those reasons.
And almost blowing up himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was clever using the light bugs to increase the life sign, because at first I couldn't remember if the Wraith had survived on eating those, and that's how he was able to kind of stretch out his life. But it seems like he wasn't as aware of them and was just kind of, when he was swatting them away, I was like, oh, I can, absorb whatever tiny amount of life this has, or he's just killing them one way or the other. But yeah, so and seeing Shepard, giving it, they wanted some of his ration bar and he would throw it away so that they would go chase it and leave him alone. Because I was reminded of, there was an SG-1 episode where there was some kind of similar light bug things, but those were more aggressive. So
Prodigy,
yeah. So these were not as aggressive. So these seem more just like your curious little light bugs and not your angry light bugs. But
if you remember in that episode, Prodigy, it was hotly debated whether or not those light bugs were friendly to begin, because they were friendly to begin with, and they only started zipping through people, killing them, after they captured one, or was it the moon rising or something to do with the
energy fields or
they had this big debate over whether or not they should have been nice and it was caused or not caused or whatever. So I was thinking about that as they showed them, because I thought, are we going to see them and they're going after Shepard's candy bar or protein bar? I was like, oh, are they gonna
like zip through him
his leg or
those
his
welts,
finger.
yeah.
Or what, yeah, I was like,
Well, the good news is that these are not the same energy bugs as we saw in
Aw.
Prodigy. They look identical to them, but from the commentary with Peter DeLuise, who wrote and directed the episode, they were supposed to be completely different bugs. It just that's what
Oh.
I think they still had it in the computer or something. And they come out of these little smoking mounds.
yeah.
What's interesting about this is we used to joke that SG-1 shot all the time on the sand dunes near Vancouver. Well, over the course of 8 years now, the sand dunes have been developed and built on and stuff. And by this point, there was just a little teeny area of sand dunes left. And so they're basically filming on the only remaining part of sand dunes left, or these particular sand dunes in Vancouver. And I guess while they were filming this, they were also filming Memento, or the season 8. What's that one? The two-parter where they go back to Abydos and SG-1. I think it's Memento or something like that. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, they were filming that like very close to where they were filming this, and
They're both out there. Y'all be quiet.
in the very limited sand dunes. I don't know if it was exactly at the same time, but yeah. So it was.
That
It's just kind of great to see the sand dunes again, and then of course the Wraith ship is a set, but a very creepy set, and they do a really good job in the first season of making the Wraith, and they're still very creepy. They can jump down on you and you least expect it. They can jump away. They got super jumping powers.
I really liked the moment where they were debating if he could still be alive. How long?
Yeah.
Like how long can they feed? How long can they, hibernate and all this stuff? And I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Where it's like, they're like, no, it's fine. And then it was like, oh, wait, hang on. And then
Maybe,
I really expected Shepard to use his, super brain power and tell us exactly, like do the math calculations in his head.
Yeah.
And like tell us exactly how long. That would have been fun. But that was pretty cool. And then they're there. Oops.
Yeah. And there were a lot of people in those lifeboat pods. So, depending on how many Wraith there were on board and when they got eaten by the other Wraith, they could have lasted a really long time.
Yeah, and they didn't, unless I missed it or I don't remember. Did they say how long? They said there wasn't a huge power. The ship still didn't have a lot of power. It only had enough power for the distress signal. So we would assume then that the people left weren't alive anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, they would have spoiled, I think. And it's like when you lose everything that's in your freezer.
Yes, I said my fridge during the hurricane.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I assume the Wraith would have just eaten, if the power was going on, he's like, all right, I'm just going to eat everything I can before it spoils. Yeah. And the humans, it's kind of scary to think about, but he could have just let them starve for a while, because it wouldn't bother him. He could still absorb their life, and, people can live without food for a while.
Put a binge.
So if they didn't have food, or resources, then they could have lived as long as they could have, and he could have just kept feeding until, I don't think we've ever seen a Wraith feed till they're satisfied or feed till they're can't feed anymore.
No.
I think we generally see them
turn it down.
You don't see a lot of fat Wraith, that's for sure. Yeah.
We never see a Wraith be like, oh, there's a human person in front of me to feed on. I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they generally they're always hungry. They're like my kids. They're my toddler,
exactly.
in bottomless pit of constantly wanting food. But then we do see a certain race team up with them eventually. So there is, they can control themselves to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Todd would, if he was around for 10,000 years and hadn't fed, I don't know that he would have been able to manage, but I think, so we'll see that eventually.
I do like the joke when they arrive on this planet, and of course they have to check it out. And they park their invisible ship, and there's a joke in there everybody, or let's remember where we parked, which was a reference to Star Trek 4, The Search for Whales, where they park their invisible Klingon, ship in the middle of the park in San Francisco, and Kirk says, "Everybody remember where we parked."
I just thought it was a reference to every time you go to the airport.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, yeah, it was in Star Trek 4, but since it's an invisible spaceship, they get to do the exact same joke. But yeah.
Yeah, there was already some good humor because as they were flying to the planet,
oh yeah,
Weir was, or when they found out there's a ship down there, Shepard's like excited to go check it out and can't wait, and like a little kid excited to do something. Weir's like, are you, you're just not excited, you're just excited to go check out an alien ship, and Shepard just kind of like, so like I am excited, and Weir kind of begrudgingly says, go ahead, go have fun, and check in 3 hours or whatever.
And just happens to remind them that if they need help, it's 15 hours away.
Yeah.
Just so we exactly know how long it'll take.
Yeah. I was thinking about this. They should have had a jumper like halfway between them, had like a chain of jumpers. Like if you had to send help, you're get to the halfway point so that if you need to send help, you're already halfway there. I was kind of thinking like maybe they should have, but I don't know how many jumpers they have at this point. I think that's like three or four
pilots really. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was also thinking they all 15 hours one way that foursome in that jumper. Man, that would have been a long ride.
And they're getting space sick because even though there's inertial dampeners and they shouldn't feel any motion, McKay is apparently like driving, swerving from lane to lane in space. Yeah.
And Gall's just like, I know that we're not actually we don't feel the movement, but I know that we're moving. So
yeah. And he's like, I'm flying a straight line. Nope.
Yeah, and it also the fact that they set up that kind of rapport in the puddle jumper with Dr. Gall and Dr. Abrams, you're like, maybe one of them makes it, and then you're like, oh no, they don't and stuff. So
yeah. I know I looked at IMDb because I was like, oh, that one looks really familiar because I couldn't put it I just couldn't get my brain to realize it was the same guy from Prodigy. And I'm like, oh, he's been around. So I was thinking, oh, he's the one. He's going to make it out.
Well, even Markham, the pilot of the other puddle jumper, like we don't see him. I don't know if we see, he's I think killed off screen at a future date or something. So we don't get to see him very much again either. It's sad, but so when they investigate the ship, they suddenly realize that there is a Wraith there. Dr. Abrams is quickly eaten and replaced with a much older actor who doesn't look a terrible amount like the original actor. I think on the commentary, Peter DeLuise said he looked kind of like Harpo Marx, which was a little unfortunate and stuff. So. But
yeah, I guess they didn't want to do the old man. Didn't want to invest in the old man makeup like they would for Robert Duvall or not Robert Duvall. Whoever
Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick. Yeah, and they were already doing it for Dr. Gall, so they didn't have the. They just said, "No, we'll just get an old guy to come in and."
I don't know. They could have just put like a gray wig on a skeleton, like just said, "Oh, it's like, oh no, Dr. Abrams."
Little powder in his hair.
Yeah. But and so and it's pretty gruesome. Like when they do like find Dr. Gall, he has like red sores on his chest from where the Wraith was feeding, and he's covered in the Wraith webs and old man makeup, and can't feel his legs, and all that and stuff.
Is this the first time that we hear that when they feed on you that you're paralyzed? Can't remember. Did we know that already or not? I
don't think it came up before.
Okay.
Yeah, because we mainly saw the Colonel in the first episode or in the pilot, but he was already like he never moved and didn't really like he was just feeding, and then we didn't really hear it, and I don't think we've really seen anyone else being fed on like this and so far. So yeah, I think it's the first time they've introduced that.
Yeah.
And also that the Wraith can kind of pick your brain while they're feeding you or something. Or we saw that with the Asthosian, I forget his name, like Tyrannus or whatever his name was, that was fed on in the pilot episode. But I don't know how long he was feeding on him because it doesn't seem like it was that long, but apparently it was enough to say, okay, you go 2 clicks west out of here and you'll see this like invisible ship, only you won't see it.
Right.
And
very specific. Very, very specific. And by the way, here's my remote.
Yeah, take this.
Well, and then we also learned that they don't have to feed until you're dead. Like they can control how much life to take, and stop when they want to. Or like maybe in this case, use it for torture or for information, not just feeding.
Yeah, and we'll see that later too. We'll get more of like they can feed. They can stop themselves if they want to. This Wraith probably might have wanted to keep the two other doctors alive, but he was probably so hungry that he needed to fill up on the first one, and then he left Dr. Gall just to split up McKay and Shepard and make Shepard go try to G.I. Joe his way on to get the jumper back.
Yeah, and another, there's a direct reference to Kirk in this episode too, where Shepard says like, he's going to take my ship, and McKay goes, "Who are you, Captain Kirk?" But then the whole fight in the desert is reminiscent of the first, the original series Star Trek episode Arena, where Kirk's fighting the Gorn captain in the desert and has to improvise weapons and defeat the Gorn. Only this Wraith is a lot more wily and smarter and a more formidable foe than the Gorn, I think, because
and faster moving, doesn't just lumber around.
can regenerate. Is incredibly fast learner. He learns how to activate the shields on the puddle jumper. He learns as soon as he sees Shepard firing a firearm, he's like, "Oh, that's what those things are," and goes back over to the case of 9mm pistols and picks one up and shoots Shepard on like the first shot. So yeah.
Well, and he was also the Wraith was also like rearranging the crystals in the jumper, trying to jumpstart it, I think is what he said. So that you presumably in the war they, maybe this guy being a longer survivor, maybe he had more technical knowledge than your average, Wraith cannon fodder like some of the other ones probably were.
And that was something that was different too, is that, he wasn't just feed, kill you, shoot you, whatever, but he actually, I don't say had a brain, had a purpose, and he recognized that it was Lantian technology, that, he knew more than we've encountered before with the Wraith.
Yeah, he wasn't just eat, sleep, Wraith, repeat.
Yeah, we start to see kind of the hierarchy in the Wraith between, because we have the drones who typically wear their masks and don't ever, they're just, they're just the guards and the cannon fodder. And then we have Wraiths like this guy who are kind of the lower level, kind of the middle management Wraith. And then we have the queens as well. So we'll definitely see more middle management Wraiths in the coming seasons.
I'm going to remember that, middle management Wraith.
Yeah.
They're the first ones to get laid off, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or left behind on a planet, I guess. So yeah, lots of cool stuff going on in this episode. And we get to see Lieutenant Ford pilot the puddle jumper for 15 hours or Markham, I guess, is flying the ship, and Ford's there, and he has Taylor, who doesn't really get to do much in this episode, and then they have like Bazooka guy with them, who I was like,
I think he's credited as Marine.
Marine, okay, but he has like a bazooka on his back or something, like a rocket propel grenade or whatever they're called now.
He just must be cool,
HIMARS
like Teal'c,
or something.
Yeah, always had that big gun,
But I don't know, having that thing on your back for 15 hours while you're flying in it like that, like wouldn't you normally put that in like a case or something to keep it safe? You wouldn't just, Ford's like, no, you have to wear the bazooka the entire time in the puddle jumper. I'm in charge. Do it. Yeah.
Well, and I love that Weir didn't wait for them to.
No, not at all.
She did not wait. She sent them on their way. She just knew. She knew things were going to go bad.
Well, they have the last few.
Every time?
Yeah, every time. So.
Well, they don't make episodes about, your routine missions that never go wrong.
That's true. We don't get to see Sergeant Bates, negotiating with successfully negotiating with the non-Janai.
Yeah. Yeah, because we were like, wait, did we see that? No. Nope.
That's the new Stargate shows. Yeah. It's the second contact, like Lower Decks. You have the follow-up teams.
Yeah. But yeah, I just appreciate like how much ground we cover narratively in this. Like, we're in
Mhm.
space, there's a cool satellite. Now we're on a planet. Now we're in a Wraith ship. And so I appreciated all that, after the last few episodes of SG-1 and even Atlantis too, where we're kind of like stuck on the existing
Yeah.
sets. It was cool to get off world and see some different things.
I was going to say that. We know where all the Stargate money was going, and it wasn't SG-1.
Yeah.
Atlantis was definitely the bright new shiny object. And it is good. I mean, it's not like they wasted money. I mean, they created a great show. And this was Peter DeLuise's first time directing for Atlantis.
I don't know directing, but first time writing for sure.
Okay. And was he in it? Was there cameo? Did we miss it?
I did not hear that he did a cameo in this one.
Because I feel like the very first few seasons he was with SG-1, like we saw him all the time.
Yeah.
And lately, I don't know, I'm missing my DeLuise cameos.
He's been sneaking them in kind of more and more obscurely. Yeah, I'm trying to, I don't know, this may have been the first one he wrote. Hard to say.
Yeah, I thought I read that somewhere, but I can't swear to it.
Yeah, so I think it was a good, action oriented episode. We could learn a lot about the Wraith and the latter days of the war. As Atlantis is basically making the decision to submerge the city to keep it safe and turn the Pegasus galaxy over to the Wraith and dooming all the humans in it. So.
And we also, really got to look at McKay while he's with, I forgot his name.
Dr. Gall.
And Dr. Gall's hanging in there, and McKay, for all of his sarcasm and kind of where he's not very touchy-feely, with other people, he really came a long way here to try to reassure him, try to comfort him. He didn't just leave him. He really did try to help him as best he could. But we also saw that part of McKay who wanted to be out there in the action. And whether it was he wanted to be in the action or he really wanted to go help his teammate, either way, that he didn't want to be where it was safer. He wanted to be out there making a difference and, being part of the team. So I thought that was you think about it, where he came from 11 episodes ago, and that's pretty huge for him.
It is. And it wasn't his idea to give Gall the gun. I mean, Major Shepard did say to put a gun in his hand. So
yeah.
But,
I'd forgotten that because I didn't remember seeing the episode. So that kind of shocked me. And I think that was one of the reasons why I didn't love the episode, because
Well, they set it up like, we could, you might be all right. We could pump you full of food and you'll like
he said, have some tea.
Have some tea. The wrinkles will.
Carson will figure out a treatment for you.
We'll just inject you with some gene therapy or something and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But,
I did think it was sad in that they set up that if the Wraith feeds on you, and he didn't feed them all the way, but just enough, even if they stop before you're done. That sounded terrible. That you don't have any hope. And I don't, I don't like that. I like having hope. I like, there's just...
If it was Star Trek, you can do anything to somebody in Star Trek and the doctor will come in, whoever the doctor is, and be like, well, I just gave you this injection. And then all of a sudden, you got 60 years of your life back, or all of the Borg implants are gone now, or all the DNA that turned you into a different species has been removed from your system. But not on,
We even saw, what was it, Jack with the nanites? His body absorbed them or whatever, and he
exactly
aged in reverse. I mean, come on.
Just give him some of those. Give him some of those nanites. But so that was kind of shocking there for sure. And we do even get the moment where he's like, "Give me a mirror, show me how bad it is," type thing. But because he prided himself on being the young genius of the team.
And he did goad McKay just a little bit there.
Which I thought was ironic at first. He's like, "'Cause I'm younger than you." And like he's like, wait a minute, I am younger than you still, right? But yeah. All right. Well, we'll pour one out for Dr. Gall this weekend.
There you go.
They avenged him with the final, the hammer from heaven.
Yeah. But even when that happened, my 11-year-old son, like it was in my mind, and it like so blows him up, and my 11-year-old son was like, yeah, they should have had like a pair of like smoking boots.
Oh.
They're like, like after the thing comes down, they should have just had like his boots there just smoking. And I was thinking that exact same thing. I was like, do they do the smoking boots gag? No, they don't. It would have been so funny.
I was like, can
Peter
we check?
DeLuise.
Is he like dead? Like,
yeah.
Really dead? Because remember with the super soldier?
Yeah.
Where they were like blowing him up and doing all these things, and then he just gets right back
like,
up. And...
Yeah. So Peter
but it
DeLuise,
was the end of the episode.
Yeah, so. If you're listening, missed opportunity with having a good smoking boots. Yeah,
or if you just had like the Wraith, the Wraith's head was still there and still like you could still talk like a zombie or.
Will swallow your soul. But
it's only a flesh wound.
Yeah. You will never get the Necronomicon. But yeah, so but no, so it was a good one, and I did like that Wraith. He was smart and wily and stuff. So
It wasn't so easy to defeat. He didn't fall for all of Shepard's tricks. It was nice.
No. Any other thoughts on this episode?
I guess pedal jumpers can go for a really long time without running out of gas.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if we ever see one go like a longer flight than this, or if this is kind of because they're usually just flying through the gate, and then maybe they'll they might have to orbit the planet, but that doesn't take that long in a jumper. They can just fly pretty quickly. But if it's I don't know how fast jumpers go, but if it's it's probably several 100 million miles away from the planet the Atlantis is on. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if they do like a throwaway joke. It's like, well, that was like 6 days on a puddle jumper with you, one of those like, I'm glad we're here or something. But I don't remember them doing that, I think. Yeah.
What about foreign titles today?
Yeah, we do have a couple in French. We get duel or duel, which is good. Very on the nose. And then in German's actually good. Let me see if I can pronounce this. Der Überlebende, the survivor.
Ah.
So who is the survivor? Is it the Wraith? Is it Shepard?
Mm-hmm.
It's not Dr. Gall.
When they first enter the ship, are we seeing a survivor?
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, so I like that one.
That's good.
And we also have a comment to share. We have a comment on our Stargate SG-1 episode Endgame, which was left on YouTube by Meow1992. And Meow1992 writes, "Aw man, Stargate. Watched the show with my dad and mom when I was younger. Loved this show even till this day." And yeah, I think that captures a lot of, our love for the show that we do. Mm-hmm. Our kids grew up watching it with us. They still watch it with us, and hopefully, when they're older and have kids of their own, they find the show on whatever streaming service or dusty box of DVDs in our basement. Yeah.
They find my old DVDs. They're like, oh, like your grandmother used to watch this.
We watch now from the Book of Stargate.
They'll have to watch it because there seems to be no reboot on the horizon.
Yeah.
Man, all the rumors.
Yeah. We expected something out of Comic-Con, right? And it came and went.
Mm-hmm. But I love that. You're right. My husband and I started watching it when we got married, and then we watched it while we had kids, and then our kids they know all the Stargate jokes and references. And so I love that, the comment that's how they watched it too. So
yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can get my kids to eventually watch this stuff with me. They're probably a little young, and my wife's not really into sci-fi, so it's kind of on me.
Yeah.
But I did see I think when in the first episode of this I was on, I mentioned I saw the Stargate movie with my dad in the theater.
Oh, that's
I remember
awesome.
it being a little freaked out by Ra's flashing eyes, but
Yeah.
So maybe I won't start with the movie when they're at this age, but
Yeah. Start with a fun one, like Window of Opportunity. Well, there's, never mind. Because I forget it's fun in the middle, but like the ending is pretty intense. So
yeah, there's some kind of silly early-ish one can start with.
Start with the one where they're wearing the white unitards with the zipper at the back and the like sing-songy plants.
One false step. Yeah.
My kids would probably
and then go listen to our podcast about it. That it was so terrible.
My son's favorite episode, since like he was much younger, my 11-year-old son, is still A Matter of Time. And even that one's a little grim too, because you have the people frozen in time on the planet being ripped apart, by the gravitational force of the black hole. And at the end, there's this whole drama between O'Neill and his like buddy who left him behind in Iraq and then blows himself up with the nuke. And
but the whole time thing
is pretty cool.
Yeah. And the black hole thing. Yeah.
But probably not this one, although our kids did watch this particular episode, the Defiant one, and it was a little gruesome, but we got through it just fine. And thanks to our patrons who help us get through these episodes just fine every week as we create the secrets of Stargate. And today we'd like to thank Thomas V, Michael B, Jonathan K, Ronald B, and Corey L. And their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Stargate and all the shows on StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or find our video versions at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia or on Spotify. And you can find previous episodes of Secret of Stargate and send us feedback by visiting sqpn.com/Stargate. And if you want to leave a comment for us, you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com or follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on X at sqpn.com or check out our Discord server. And we will be back next time with the next episode of Stargate SG-1, It's Good to Be King. And it's good to watch that episode.
It's a good one.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Until then, Lisa Jones, thank you for joining us and sharing the secrets of Stargate.
Thanks, Victor.
And thank you, Jeff Haecker.
Thanks, Victor.
And once again, I'm Victor Lambs. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Stargate on StarQuest. And remember, if we're going to play the waiting game, the guy who's been around for 10,000 years is going to win.
Maybe.
Maybe. Not this time. Generally speaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?